All right, and welcome to another exciting installment of the Terrorisk podcast. I'm with Brendan. Brendan was just talking about Black Dynamite, his favorite neo-blaxploitation piece of media.
And he just told me that I didn't know it was called blaxploitation was the name of the genre. I just thought it was funny that it had a 1970s kung fu vibe and the funny, like it's like the Skinamax porno music where all you see is a guy's hairy ass and just.
Blaxploitation is a film subgenre that emerged in the 1970s featuring black actors and appealing to black audiences. The term blaxploitation is sometimes used to describe the exploitation of black people by the producers of these films. All black casts, soul, R&B, and disco soundtracks, characters with big guns, dashikis, and big fros.
Yeah. Black Dynamite is a fucking hilarious, genius fucking movie.
There's a movie called Blackula. Shaft! In 1971, of course, everyone knows about Shaft!
No, I recommend Black Dynamite to anyone. It's a genius movie.
Yeah. So, in other news, Brendan finally got a job.
Happy job.
He says he's not depressed anymore. Isn't that funny how like it's so
No, the depression
isn't that funny
lifted
isn't that
before the
funny
job.
how like when you suddenly have resources to work with and live on, it's like, or the prospect of it, you don't even have money yet, and like just knowing that it might be coming or probably is coming is enough to like lift you.
Well, not feeling completely, like unself-sufficient sucks ass. But depression started to lift before that, though. I don't know how or why. I don't know.
Well, it's never one thing. Depression usually lifts after like days of hanging on to a pattern. Like if your pattern is drinking every day and fighting with your family every day and not being employed every day and like asking your friends for money every day, yeah, it's gonna make you fucking depressed. But if your pattern is working out every day, going to work when you go to work, getting paid, cleaning up, your room when it gets messy, and doing laundry and taking care of your cat or whatever, then yeah, you're not gonna. That pattern is probably going to lift you out of depression.
I just right now I don't want to be. I don't want to be a taker. I want to feel like I can give more. And that's a big part of recovery. It's like, and they talk about in the program how a lot of people take humble jobs, and instead of getting resentful at it, they think about money in a spiritual way. How money can be spirituality mixes with money. So instead of thinking it as a means to get what you want, you're thinking about it more in terms of a means of acquiring resources to be able to help others. So you're not doing this for yourself as much as you're doing it for others and God and your service to this community. So it helps the resentment part of like, they're not paying me, because I can easily fall into, they're not fucking paying me, they're not treating me right, and all of a sudden, now I want to drink, because I don't fucking give a shit, I feel underappreciated. So with keeping the mentality of trying to better oneself and be more helpful, not trying to gain for oneself, but trying to gain for oneself on the premises of I can be more helpful to others, it helps a little bit with the resentment part.
Yeah, that's the right way to look at money and all that. Because money, all right. So I was just talking about this in a stream earlier today with my friends, but I was like, money is a lot like fat, because what happens when you store fat? You eat food, whatever your here, take it from this. You eat food, whatever energy your body doesn't use, right? It gets stored as fat, so it could use it for later, like when you don't have food, right? That's what money is. Now, money, you go out, you do labor. You're given money as proof of your labor, proof of your work, and that's like storing fat. Your money is like your fat, and it's good. You can look at it as a spiritual thing. Really, it's just a reflection of energy, like the amount of energy you spent to do the job, and you got that's what you got paid for.
Yeah, but that's also not always the case. Because you have heavy labor jobs that pay shit, and then jobs where people.
No, that's not even the problem. So, like, let's say you get paid fairly, right? You get paid at the fair rate for labor-intensive work. Now, what happens when it's like let's say your work is worth $500 and I give you $500 for your work, and you go out, you buy groceries, milk costs you like, I don't know, $4 or $5 a gallon or whatever. And then the next week, suddenly it's $6. You're still getting paid the same amount, but suddenly milk costs $6. Gas costs an extra 50 cents a gallon. Everything goes up. That's a problem. That's the problem. It's like, no matter how spiritual you are about your money at that point, no matter how right you handle it, you still get fucked. And that's not an individual problem. That's a systemic problem. That's like a problem with money. Our money's toxic. It's basically like we all have energetic diabetes. You know, because like, think about it. If you eat an X amount,
it's hard. It's kind of like we're in a way making spirits almost like using the devil's tools for God. You know, it's almost like you're taking this thing that could be used for complete fucking evil, and it is being used for complete evil. And I'm using it to maybe try to better myself, to make myself more helpful. Because there's a thing about prayer they talk about, because they call something we have what we used to call foxhole prayers. So that's, please God, if you get me out of this, I'll do it. You know, I'll stop drinking. If you get me out of this, you know, like it's kind of like, it's like a begging, kind of pleading with, guys, make an agreement. Now, what they say is we've been praying the wrong way. So we only pray for ourselves if what we get is to be helpful to others. So if I ask for fame, I'm not trying to seek fame for my own personal gain. I want it because I know I can use that to help someone else. So we pray for God to give us the tools that we need to be content and happy to be able to give those fruits to others. So if I was a tree, I wouldn't be asking God, please make my apples taste great because I want to fucking be beautiful. I want my apples to taste great because then everyone can eat from my apples.
Yeah, so the intention matters. Now, it's like what you said before is interesting, how like, you know, something that could be used for good could be twisted to be used for evil. You know, you think about everything. Like, think about the worst conditions of humanity right now. Porn addiction, which is fucking everyone up, like in a really bad way. Like hypersexualization is fucking everyone up, is destroying kids' minds, right? What about obesity? And, you know, like people just eating way too much.
Sugar's the most addictive drug, man.
Regardless. Obesity, people eating way too much food in general, not just sugar, but carbs especially, and not exercising enough. Now, what does this tell you? What this tells you is that the devil works the most potent evil through things that are natural. Sex is natural. Food is natural. You know, even alcohol is it's a natural part of nature. It's a blessing from spirits, you know, and yet that's the thing that them, the evil ones, the inorganic ones, that's the stuff they use to exploit us, because they know
corrupt it.
No matter what we do, we'll never stop eating food. No matter what we'll do, we'll never stop getting horny. No matter what we'll do, we'll never stop wanting to survive and being afraid of not having enough. That's what they hit you with, like the fear of not having enough sex, the fear of not having enough food.
Also, that they have Gamblers Anonymous, Sex Addicts Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous, and it's like weird.
And these are all natural things. Gambling,
but it's funny because they can't do what AA does. They can't do it because we have a program of complete abstinence. Now, that's possible. I won't die. I cannot not eat ever. So we have a thing. It's like, okay, I can't go out and just have one drink because I won't be able to stop at one drink. But people that with food can't go, I can't have a slice of pizza because I won't stop at one slice.
Yeah.
You can't say that. You have to eat something. So
yeah,
that must be a hard thing. That would be me like trying to drink and control it very unsuccessfully. Because the minute I get a taste of that, I'm gonna be like, just a little bit, you know, like, so, like if that happens to you with food, that's a fucking issue.
Yeah,
that's rough. You know, because you gotta do it. You know,
same thing with sex.
There's
you know,
love
it's like
anonymous.
Same
people are addicted to affection, and then when they don't get it, they can't deal with it. Like, and like there's people that go codependent anonymous. These are people who try to help and people please everyone so much that it ruin their lives. Like I don't know how they deal with these issues. I'm in a very simple program. Don't fucking drink. You know, I can't imagine having to work with a fucking...
So the point being, it's never been about like staying away from things or like not. It's about like how you approach it. Now, I'm strictly anti-porn. I'm no, it's no big secret. And you know, there's like a very fine line. When I say I'm anti-porn, it's not about what women do. It's not about women like making porn or doing this to their bodies for money. Like, I don't give a shit. Women could do whatever the fuck they want with their bodies. If they want to make porn, go fucking right ahead. If they want to get gangbang, go ahead. What I can do though, like, I mean, I can't say that to women, but I can tell guys, like, listen, this shit is bad for you. This shit is not doing you any favors. It's fucking you up psychologically. It's fucking you up physically, and it's spiritual detritus. It's fucking you up on all three corners of your existence. You cannot do this anymore. and like, you know, as far as the women goes, it kind of takes care of itself, right? You know, like if there's no guys looking at porn anymore and jacking off to porn anymore, then what the fuck is the point of making it, right?
Oh yeah, and there's no, you can't sell it. You can't sell it. You can't make it. You know
exactly.
Yeah.
So therefore, like I'm anti-porn in a sense where it's like, you know, it's really not about what they do, it's about what you do.
You know, I'm thinking about it. Really, porn is a weird fucking thing.
Porn is terrible.
It's a weird thing,
dude. You're a grown ass man, but think about how easy it is for 10-year-old kids to just like see like women getting gangbanged every fucking day for like hours.
Okay, when I was younger, the first thing I would say, I had friends, you know, that I would go over their house and they maybe didn't have a lock in the computer. This is early. This is like 2000. And like, you know, they would be like, yo, check this out. And they'd show me a porn or something that had a TV and their parent didn't like lock it. And I've seen things and it was always like, whoa, like it was like too much for me. Like just seeing a fucking close-up fucking asshole and a vagina and a cock go ramming into it. I'm like, ugh. But I remember as a kid, I would go to newgrounds.com and like, it was small things that I had to go with. So it was like I'd play like the hentai sim dating game, and then every once in a while you'd win a picture of like a fucking hentai cat girl fucking getting rammed, and that was enough. That was fine for me. That was like it looked clean. It wasn't nasty looking, no actual body parts. And then as I got older, I started seeing other things and getting. But like that shit was fucking nasty to me at first. I'm like, this is not. Even now to this day, like when like they show like close-ups of vaginas, I'm like, that's not a what? Nobody wants to see that. What the fuck? Like that's I don't know.
But if you're forced to see it over and over and over again, eventually your mind gets
You're
used
gonna be
to
like, oh, this is supposed to be hot.
Put it this way: Roman soldiers, when they conquered lands like before Christ came along, you know what they were doing to like
He ruined everything.
You know what they were doing?
Sodomy.
You know what they were doing to the Jews and stuff, and like the people they conquered, like they were like sodomizing women in front of their sons. Could you imagine what that must do to a population of people for if that happened? If you see this every day happening to your mom for years and years and years, that's like the same effect. That's what looking at porn every day is doing. You know, except it's not someone as personal as your mother or your sister, but still, it's the same idea of like you see a woman, you see another woman that you are sexually attracted to getting fucked by a big, stronger man over and over again every single fucking day. Subconsciously, that does the same shit to you. And
it's like microdosing, cuckolding.
It's not just a fetish. Roman soldiers did this to, like, let's say I was a Roman legionnaire. I conquered your city, and you're a man and living in that city of a defeated city. and then I get together with my buddies and like, yo, you know what'll really take their spirit out and make sure they never
Clockwork Orange them.
Fuck their wife every single day.
Singing in the rain.
Yeah, so could you imagine that being done to you? What that would do to you? You think porn's any different? It's just framed a little differently, but it's not that different.
Somebody get violently against their will, raped, being a family member or your wife is different than watching two random people consensually screw. Like,
well, it's insidious because it's less obvious. It's the same kind of damage is still done subconsciously.
Sasha Gray's cool. She has like a podcast and stuff. She's all in like politics and shit like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's time, like, guys, just it ruined us. It nearly ruined a whole generation of porn. Like porn, literally. Do you think it's any accident that like you ended up in the situation you did now? Like imagine how different your life would have been if you never came into contact with porn. How much hours you wouldn't have spent just jacking off to porn? How much
hours?
Days, like, you know, years.
Yeah, it would take a long time to accumulate that much time. But
think about it. That's all that time you would have gotten back. You probably would have had a wife by now if you had all that, saved all that sexual energy and focus and chi. It would have been directed to way more things. But the thing is like, that's the thing about the music industry and the music career and the musical path. It's like, it's so sexualized and it's so enticing. It's like when you could do something that not a lot of other people do that touches their emotions, women just start throwing their pussies at you, and then it's like you get corrupted that way.
I feel a lot of it, the rock star thing, is you already feel like you did it. You won in life. So now you could just fuck off on it. It's like resting on your laurels. I won the game. I can do whatever I want now.
Yeah,
you know, and it's like now you can just fuck every other moment up. Where if you're not the fucking man, every little thing you do makes you feel better about yourself. fucking went to work today and I paid my bills. I feel better about myself. When you already fucking did everything, you have all the fucking money, all the fame, everyone loves you, and everyone's giving you positive reinforcement despite all the shitty things you do in your daily life. It's like it doesn't fucking matter.
Kill that.
What?
Kill it.
Why?
Because I smoked half of it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Tastes yummy.
Yeah, that's how I felt after I won first place in that sword tournament. I was like, I'm still
rest on that.
I'm still resting on it.
That's the problem. People rest on their laurels and then they just atrophy.
What's the point of having laurels if you don't rest on them?
Because I think. Well, that is. Well, I'm actually saying this because I'm in my program. It says if we decide to rest on our laurels, we're headed for trouble because we don't continue to grow and become better. So in the program, the 12-step program is a big deal. It's like, okay, I got sober, I paid this off, I got my family back, got my car, and then they rest on their laurels. And then slowly but surely, some quicker, some slower, things start to get fucked up. They start to think they did good. I'm fine. I'm doing okay. I'm sober. And all of a sudden, they start fucking up other things in their life. Then before they know it, a little white lie here and there, a little this thing. Right before they know it, they're drinking. So there's a lot of we say like we feel like too accomplished, and especially in like a 12-step program. That's when people get too comfortable and feel like they got this now. I got this life thing figured out. I don't need to rely on God for everything now. I am self-sufficient now. I got a job. I got this. They came from being homeless fucking drug addicts, and now they have a car, and now they feel like the ego inflates just enough for them to start fucking up a little bit more, and that's when they start heading for trouble and start heading down a worse path.
I guess it's different with martial arts. It's like you could have. Like,
but you're not just resting on your laurels because you're still practicing, you're still training, you're still growing to do more. So that's not resting on. Yes, you're keeping in your mind, I did that, but you're not stopping there.
Yeah, because
stopping there would be resting.
Because what happens is like, even no matter who you are, if you win, it's going to take no time at all for you to get humbled by something, whether it's someone who's better than you or you take on another technique that you think you could do, but you just can't do it and you're not there. Even though you just won first place in a fucking tournament, it's like, fuck, there's still things I can't do right. And that humbles you real quick. Or it's like, you win first place and then your teacher comes and says, hey, we haven't sparred since you won the tournament. Let's see how much you've grown. And he kicks your fucking ass and you're like, fuck, like I thought I was good. Like, what the fuck? Like, could you imagine having a teacher that good? It's like you trade super hard, you win first place, and then you try practicing again, and then you get your fucking ass beat. Like, it's easy, and it's like, damn, I guess I still ain't shit. It feels kind of good though. It feels good in a way. It's like you get to the end of a video game worried, oh fuck, I'm gonna be done with the video game, but then you discover a hidden like a whole like not just a new game plus, but a whole expansion, and you're like, damn, wow, this thing really never ends. That's why I like martial arts.
Oh, you're playing a game and like. You own that game. You're not even trying. That's how good you are. And then the DLC comes out.
Yeah.
And you realize being level 80 ain't shit anymore. It's kind of like Pokemon. I remember beating the Pokemon Elite Four for I'm a fucking Pokemon fucking master now. Fuck everyone. And then you get that link cable. And you fight all the other kids who also became Pokemon masters, and you realize you ain't shit. Yeah.
I guess I'm lucky to have my teacher because he's just that good. It's like there's plenty of people, there's plenty of teachers that are plenty qualified to teach 100 times over, but they're not as good as my teacher. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like no matter how good I get, it's like having someone close that's that good will always give you like, But then the question is, it's like, well, what if I ever did get to that level? Then it's like then you got to like look for bigger and badder fish, like.
That's just what they say in my book. I don't know. I'm kind of, and it's been helping me. I'm trying to look at this. If I become too rigid in my mentality of the program, I get depressed, and I start getting more rigid-minded. And I notice when my mind becomes more rigid and fixed on ideas, I start to lose it. I start to like fucking go drive myself fucking crazy.
No, but because you stay rigid on certain things, you end up getting consistent results, like getting a job, and you think like you got that job because you stayed rigid about certain things. So it's about knowing what to stay rigid on and what to be able to be adaptable on.
Yeah, I guess so. But it's like I always used to do the thing. It's like, okay, I could work on this problem, but then I still have all these other problems. So it's an all or nothing mentality. So I thought if I can't become spiritually perfect. But the whole idea is progress, not perfection. So,
yeah.
if I could be just a little bit less fucking self-centered the next day. I don't have to be fucking Buddha. I just considered others a little bit more.
Also, it's like if you're 1% better than yesterday after like a year, that's, I don't know. I don't know.
365% better?
I don't think it works like that, but it does scale out to something insane. You know, it's like, because it scales upwards. Yeah, so, you know, that's always good. 1% better than yesterday is the goal.
Yeah, but I'm becoming less, and I also am like new. I'm actually starting to look into Dharma recovery, and they have their own kind of. I like the PIR recovery people. They're very open-minded about things.
Do you see people like not just from the recovery perspective, but also seeing like my own spiritual engagement and maybe other people in your life? Do you think spiritual, like metaphysical perspective is becoming more spread throughout, like more common and more popularized and more normalized in society? Like it's becoming a more of a thing. I mean, for you, it's like AA for years have always been about metaphysics and spirituality and the 12-step. It's basically spiritual growth, spiritual awakening.
Well, you think how much has probably changed since it came out. Because if you think about it, it came out at the end of the 30s, and they were doing it before that, the book at least, before the book came out, and it was pretty much Christian, first century Christian. And it was, you know, I'm pretty sure a lot of these meetings, they said higher power in the books to not alienate any atheists. But I'm pretty sure when you joined these programs at first, they brought you and said you give your life to Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, because these are white American fucking from European descent.
Can you put a little more slack on the bottom of that mic cable?
Oh yeah, sorry, I have a.
No, because like I was doing a stream yesterday with my friend, and his mic with cable was all fucked up, and I'm looking at you doing that. It's like that's definitely how it happens when you do that.
Sorry, I have sound guys tell me when I'm on stage, I like wrap the fucking thing around my arm like that.
Yeah, just don't, because those are fresh cables in a fresh.
Okay.
No,
but it was very first century, and they kind of now, you know, and some people like look down on like people, you know, like. There's people who are like, you know, my higher power, and other people say like the universe and things like that. I'm pretty sure nobody was.
I'm not talking about religion though. I'm talking about spirituality. Like, remember, like you actually remember I had like an awakening before you went to AA. Remember that? I mean, you were already kind of like into it before all of this shit. Like since like, you know, years ago, like since like I was 17 or some shit. But
never tried to practice anything.
But like I was already practicing, because like right after I won the sword tournament, I had like an existential crisis because of the David Grush thing. Remember that? With Congress? Like David Grush is an intelligence officer who went before Congress.
Yes.
And that gave me an existential crisis because I'd never seen anything like that before in my life. You know, like an actual guy going before serious Congress members and it being broadcasted to the world on the internet and everything, and news. The government openly admitting that we've been in contact with aliens, and that led me down a whole rabbit hole of research with like ancient civilizations, which led me, of course, to spirituality, and because it's all connected, obviously. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about like going to church and finding spirituality because you were raised into it or because you were baptized or because, you know, I'm talking about like the intersection of science and spirituality, where it's like you can't ignore it, no matter how logical you are. Like you come across certain things in life and you just can't ignore it. You know, it's not even about going to church. It's like you just know there's something.
I also feel like, you know, we also live in a more information age, so it did start happening more. You have more people that can get together, so more people that have these experiences can get together and talk about it more easily.
Or you could research stuff too.
Yeah, so there's a lot more. Yeah, of course there's going to be a lot more of that.
But that's, you understand,
and it's kind of been happening since like 50s, 60s.
That was the whole Kali Yuga cycle.
Yeah, and
Terrence McKenna said because of the internet that this was going to happen.
Well, also, we also didn't have all these other, like we had, everything was Abrahamic religions in America, at least, like until like.
Yeah, but so what? Forget about the religion. That's not what I'm talking about. Yes, we all know about the whole like paradigm of Jesus Christ, like
more metaphysical type spirituality. Because Christian Catholic religion was never barely a practiced fucking thing. It's not really.
It's just speak into the mic.
It's just something you fucking families went to just because it was a tradition. I like, even when I was a kid, we went to fucking Catholic church, but we weren't strict like we believe in fucking Jesus here. It's just something you did because your parents did it.
Yeah,
and
but that's not what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Yes, we understand the whole history of like the Eastern traditions coming to the West in like the 1900s, like mid to late 1900s. Like, you know, guys like Terrence McKenna, Alan Watts, whatever. Like, you know, and then you also had like in line with that like old mystic Christian traditions like Gnosticism, Rosicrucianism. You also had guys like Manly P. Hall, Aleister Crowley. They contributed greatly to it, and yeah, that. I get it, but I'm speaking more in line with like practical application of it. You know, like Carl Jung. Jung was a very important figure because he engaged with spirituality, not in a sense of like trying to create some kind of congregation or a ministry or like preaching the good word of a Bible or Christ. No, he was literally using metaphysical principles and perspectives to treat things. And this is where we get things like AA, you know, because AA is a form of healing, right? The 12 steps is a process of healing. So that's what I'm talking about when I say like the spread of spirituality. I'm not talking about like in a religious context with like going to church with your family. Like, yeah, I guess that's like there's a little overlap there, but that's not what I'm talking about at all. Because you could be a alcoholic and go to church and it'll do nothing for you.
Yeah, I'm saying it's just a habit. It's just a tradition, pretty much. It's not even something you actually think of very often.
So we're distinguishing like the difference between like religious worship versus spiritual practice.
Yeah, but I think they consider everyone has a different spiritual practice. They think going and confessing and then, you know, getting their sins forgiven is their spiritual practice. Everyone's spiritual practice is a little bit different. I think what we're talking about that's why I'm saying Eastern, because when we talk about metaphysics, I think the reason we even have that word that we're using is because of Eastern philosophy and thinking and religions, not our Abrahamic. Really, I don't think really have a, you know, if anything, you can call it mysticism.
Yeah, mysticism is like kind of dealing with metaphysics. Because mysticism is all about really, as far as we know.
But I think also we have more science based where, you know, you have more information about quantum physicists talking about how they're, you know, researching into the nature of consciousness, and then the whole experiment with the blasting the fucking photons at the wall and realizing they act differently when they're being observed. Certain things with science. Yeah, science eventually is going, because religion is an idea, a concept of the truth, and science is evidence-based based on deduction.
So when the
eventually, once you deduct it to a certain point,
it's going to say the same shit.
It's going to either say the same shit, or it's going to clarify the shit that's said without any proof. Because you could tell people, well, you want, yeah, Jesus died, this happened for our fucking sins. There's this great guy, I want to show him to you at some point on YouTube, and he goes through the Bible, and he talks about something from like the Judaism and stuff, about it's pretty much just a metaphysical book, and what's really important is the numbers. And he's like, okay, they said this many people were alive, this many people, and then if you tally up these fucking numbers, it's actually, they found out this is like fucking pi or something like that, like thousands of years ago. There's certain things in the Bible that are said that seem to be key words, almost like a metaphysical, mathematical book in the end.
Yeah.
So I think like we have to use parables and weird fucking poetic terminology in religion, where science is very concrete. There's no fancy terminology. It's very they're just science words. You have a strict way of speaking when you talk in terms of science, or if you're a doctor, you have a certain way of speaking. There's a certain lingo, and it has its own lingo. And every religion has its own kind of lingo, and eventually it's going to have to hit some truth, right? There is one truth. There's not just... So science with deduction. The problem with religion, though, is it clings. Religion is worse in a way because it doesn't leave wiggle room to say I was wrong. That's where science wins. And I feel like in the end, science will just become spirituality.
Yeah.
And we don't need fucking religion and little children's stories about it. It's like, how childish does the idea of Zeus throwing lightning bolts down sound to us now? It probably didn't sound as childish to full-grown adults then, because they had no idea what the fuck was going on. So to this, it was like an actual fucking dude up there throwing shit. This guy was pissed, and all these things are because they have no other way of explaining it, you know. And I think when you get the truth, it's, you know, you think a lot of people think the truth would be more mundane, You know, it's not a magical world. Santa Claus isn't real. But the truth is maybe probably more profound than anything we can come up with conceptually. So, like, you know, like, we have this idea of God back in the day, which is a childish idea because we have to base everything on association with what we see in the world. So you think of heaven, the kingdom. A kingdom is not a thing in the ethers. A kingdom is something we built out of bricks here, full of people and authority figures. That's the only concept we can afford. We can think of another dimension, so we called it a kingdom.
But back then, Jay called it a kingdom because to them, a kingdom meant safety. Within the walls of a kingdom, nothing can harm you. You get prosperity, you get safety, you get security, you get culture.
That makes sense.
So when Jesus says the kingdom of heaven, and he's not really talking, and he even says, I'm not talking about an actual physical place, you know, like there's a kingdom. But it's not a kingdom that's physical that you could see or touch. It's a kingdom that's within. It's in all of us. It's a shift in perspective. It's a frequency.
It's funny. I'm sure most people, like, if they heard that, they were thinking like, because supposedly like, he had so many other followers before those last 12, and they thought that they were going to fight the fucking Romans, win, and God was going to help them. And then they were going to, brick by brick, build a literal material fucking kingdom with Jesus and everybody. And then Jesus was like, wait, no, you don't understand. My kingdom isn't here. They're like, what? No, it's like, you don't not even anything you could think of. They're like, what the fuck are we getting out of this then?
Okay, so let me just, so
they left.
For anyone who's lost here, let me explain it to you in a modern context. Let's say Jesus came in a modern, like in the modern day, and he says, I want to build a kingdom. Now here's how, if you want to figure out how to imagine how Jesus was trying to describe these ancient fucking sand heads, towel heads, whatever, like, yo,
he was about to say something worse.
Straight up, you would have to be like, imagine a world. It is the kingdom is the kingdom is as relevant to the whole world, right? As far as humanity can perceive it. Imagine a world where every single person can make themselves happy or sad at any given time using just their thoughts. What kind
of where we live now?
It's not.
But no, that's why he said the kingdom of heaven is within you.
It's not the world we live in now, because the world we live in now, people think they're slaves to their emotions. People think their happiness is a byproduct of their material reality. People think that happiness has to come from like having something more material or having more material experiences, novel experiences. They don't understand that happiness is a choice for anyone at any given time.
Well, that's why in most religions they say to renounce all that shit and turn to God.
Well, I say, well, that might have been the old way.
Well, the water that you will never have to drink water again.
See, there's different ways to say these fundamental truths.
He talked about the water of the spirit, that you'll never be thirsty again.
So there's different ways to say these fundamental truths. I would say, for example, if you want the keys, the secret to like happiness and not being depressed, the secret is gratitude. And that's basically saying the same exact fucking thing as like, you know, like what you just said. Which is like seek not or whatever.
Seek first the kingdom of heaven, everything else will be added.
Exactly, and that's basically saying just look at what you're grateful for.
It's pretty much, that's just the simple law of attraction.
Yeah.
How do I be happy? How do I get things to make myself happy? And it's like, no, you got the cart before the horse. You got to be happy first, and then all of a sudden, happy things just happen to you.
Yes.
You can't find the happy thing until you're already happy. You can't it's like
a radio. It's like
trying to mix oil with water.
No, it's like a radio, right? Like you can't. Your reality, whether it's happy or sad, is like the different station you're tuned to, right? It's like, imagine your entire being is a knob, and whatever channel that knob is tuned to, if it's tuned to the shitty channel, then you're gonna get a shitty world, shitty reality. You're gonna get a reality where everyone's out to get you, where everyone wants to fuck you over, where you never have enough.
You want to hear rock and roll on the jazz station, and then you're not turning the dial.
And then you turn the dial, and suddenly it's like your reality is where it's like, yo, people are giving you more than you deserve, where you get to live another day when you really don't have to, where there's people every day who have way less than you. You know, it's like there's things like that. And once it's literally just a shift in perspective. Now, how do you consciously turn that knob? That's the tricky part. It's not about reading the right book. It's not about getting a lot of money. It's not about having the right body. It's a complicated process of adjusting the combination of the way you think, feel, and act. And you can't separate them. You can't treat them as separate, because the way you feel is affected by the way you think and the way you act. The way you act is affected by the way you think and the way you feel, and the way you think is affected by the way you feel and the way you act.
Okay, so what do you think about this? This is a very common slogan in many recovery rooms. A lot of the old people will annoy you with this all the fucking time, and maybe it shouldn't be annoying. Maybe that's a little bit of an ego death whenever you hear it.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why they find it funny to piss you off. But they'll say, you can't think yourself into right action, but you can act yourself into right thinking.
And
so they say, they're like, okay, but I hate this. I'm pissed off at this. I don't fucking like it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to apologize to this person, right? I don't want to make amends because they hurt me too. They'll be like, well, then your thinking's not going to change. You're going to stay bitter. So what you got to do is make that amends to that person you hate, and then it'll just fucking go away. And then it's like, wait, but so they say just do the action regardless of how you fucking feel about it, and then all of a sudden the thinking will start following the action rather than you trying to think your way into acting the right way. You're acting your way into your brain thinking the right way.
I noticed I got better.
So it's like reluctantly going, I don't want to be fucking nice, but
I noticed
that the fucking book tells me to be nice.
I noticed
I'm
I
gonna
got
start being
better at
fucking
that.
nice.
Remember when
you
we
know?
were at the Coop that one day with Mike Cicero, and some guy comes up to you, he was drunk as fuck, and he goes up to you and he's like, yo, that hat makes you look like you get no pussy. And then I immediately got in his face. I was like, the fuck did you just say? You know, because I was really about to like throw, because like I was like, what kind of fucking idiot, like what kind of psycho says that to a stranger? So I got in his face and I was about to fight him, blah blah blah. And then like he was like outside, like they pushed him outside of the bar, and I was just pissed off. I was like, what the fuck? I want to smack that guy. So like, you know, I was about to go outside. The bartender stops me. He's like, yo, he's just really drunk. I was like, fuck it. So I go outside anyway to confront him. And you and Mike and everyone stayed inside. It's like, you already forgot about it. I didn't. So I went out to confront the guy. So I went out to confront the guy.
Got that fire in your coal in your hand.
And
it's burning you, but you want to throw it at him.
And as soon as I saw him, I even had my belt off, so just in case I needed to use it to like whip him in the face or something. But like I had my belt off and I had my hands like this. It's like, yo, I just want to say I'm sorry. I shouldn't have reacted that way. I shouldn't have tried to cause problems, and I'm sorry. You know, like. And then he looked at me. He wasn't expecting that from me because he saw me walking up to him like with my like I was ready to throw hands, and then I apologized to him, and it just like. It's like flipping a switch because
they can't. You just fucked up their whole plan.
No. But it's not just didn't just fuck them up, but it made him feel better.
Yeah.
He straight up said to me, he's like, "You're a bigger person than me." You know, straight up.
And he was probably thinking some other shit too. Like, I'm like, that fucking guy comes up to me again. If he says one word to me, I'm gonna fucking go at him. And
first thing I said is like, "Yo, I just want to say I'm sorry. You know, I shouldn't have reacted that way." And I should have been more calm about it, and I'm sorry. And he knows I didn't have to apologize. Everyone there saw it, and they were like, he didn't have to apologize.
They say in the book, they say, you know, there may be people that have hurt us even more than we did to them.
Yeah.
But they say, disregarding the other person entirely, we resolutely looked for our own mistakes. Where had we been selfish, self-seeking, dishonest, or afraid? Then we make amends. We bite the, you know, we take the bit in our teeth. And he says, and we are astonished about how many times the other man will admit his own faults immediately afterwards. And it's like you just solved the whole problem, and they say like sometimes even years of fucking bullshit.
And it's more powerful, right? When I was in a position where I didn't have to. I was in a position where I was in the right. That guy was a dick. You know, he didn't have to say that to you. You didn't do anything to provoke him. He was just being a fucking drunk dickhead. So I had every right to just like lay him out, really, you know, because like he fucked with one of my friends for no reason. I have every right. You know, you pretty much opened yourself up to whatever's coming to you, but I didn't do it. If anything, I said sorry, and I think that also added more potency to that, you know, because they're like, shit, you know, this is a guy who was in every right, but then he decided to just take the big, you know, take the higher step.
Like, that's what they say. It's like clean your side of the street. So it's like, you know, that's like saying like my across the street neighbor, he's not cleaning up his trash. There's fucking trash everywhere, so I'm gonna do the same. No, you keep your side of the street clean regardless of what they did, you know, and that's so you still have the high ground.
Yeah.
You know, and how you gonna lose when you have the fucking high ground? There's no losing there.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like my martial arts training definitely helps me see things that way and all that stuff. And you know, it's like to me that's my form of prayer. That's my way of getting closer to God. Is in those moments when it's like everyone expects me to just retaliate. Everyone expects me to just fucking go off on this person and destroy their life because they fucked with me on the wrong day. But then I just turn right around and say, you know what, dude? I'm sorry. maybe you're having a bad day, maybe I'm not having the greatest day, and maybe I have every right to tee off on you right now, but I'm just gonna take it in and I'm gonna reel it in. I'm gonna bite the bullet. I'm gonna say I'm fucking sorry, and let's squash it right now.
And we never considered a chain reaction. We're not just hurting, even if the person's a cunt. They also have a relationship with like 100 other people at least, so that means we just hurt a bunch of other people. Now, so what if that guy, you did something to him, he goes home bitter and angry, he has a girlfriend or something, hits them, beats them, now they are hurt, they do something else to the next person, all of a sudden you actually just hurt 15 innocent people that day. Another thing, and that karma is there, just lingering, just hanging out in the fucking world now.
It's also like after like training for years and doing like open sparring with no protection with swords and shit, I'm like, it's like I've gotten to the point where I know what I'm missing in those situations. Like I know exactly what I'm missing. I know what it feels like to hurt someone. I know what it feels like to get really hurt by someone. You know, like I know exactly what's gonna come of like, you know, that kind of act. Like I get it. Like I see it coming. I see the danger matrix. You know, the threat matrix of like, you know, like how these like events like ramp up into like a full confrontation, and I'm like, nah, you know, like I don't want to do this. I know how this is gonna play out. Someone's gonna get hurt. I'm gonna make sure it's not me. I'm gonna try to anyway.
And you're gonna have that little feeling in the, you know, fucking chest. That feeling that feels like it gives you power. You know, that tightness, and then you're gonna have that lingers for hours.
No, that's
even after you beat the shit out of somebody, it
that.
feels like you're gonna release it. It's almost like you think it's gonna be like coming. Like you're not gonna be horny anymore. You're not gonna be angry after you hit them, and it doesn't fucking go away afterwards. And you're still like, and your heart rate's still like, and you're like, still afterwards, and like, holy shit, I didn't release any of that energy. And it's fucking still in my body doing damage and like giving me fucking cancer slowly. You know,
that's what I'm saying. Like I don't get that anymore. You know, I'm like, you know, I think it's because it's getting your ass beat by a guy that's that good, and you're like, I know exactly how strong I am. I don't need to like prove anything to anyone anymore, or myself. And it's like, yeah, it's like when you just know how these things are gonna play out, like the adrenaline just goes away. It becomes like a game. You know, like. If we were to ever fight right now, like it really would, like I know in my head like I could take a punch, you know. It's like because I'm used to like avoiding like sword strikes and shit. That hurts way more, you know, than a punch. Like you felt me swing at you with a fully padded thing, and it's no fun, right? It's like and that's me not even really.
I couldn't use that arm for a while,
but that's me not even really trying, or not even really. That's just me letting gravity do the work. Now imagine if I really wanted to like go in on someone, like that would really fuck them up. So it's like I know what I can do, and I know because it's been done to me as well. So it's like I know what it's like, you know, what it feels like. And if I get into a fight, like I know exactly what I'm missing, and really you're just trying to knock the guy out. You're just trying to give him a concussion, and that's no fun.
It's just too much fucking effort.
Yeah, and it's also like, yeah, it's too much effort. If anything, the only times when it's like annoyingly necessary is when a fucking bitch is involved. Like when it's a fucking girl, it's like, oh, I think that guy just slapped my ass, or it's like, you know, like.
Oh, that's just somebody. That's a troublemaker. That's just it. You say, well, don't get a girlfriend like that. If it starts problems with other dudes, and then expect you to make up for it, it's like, no, you pick the fight. You put on the gloves, babe.
I'm saying, like, let's say you were riding the subway with your girlfriend, and then, like, a group of like black or Hispanic kids get on, and they start fucking. Look at these white people, and then they start like throwing shit at you and your girlfriend.
That wouldn't happen to me. That wouldn't happen to me.
Why wouldn't that happen to you?
I'm not that white, and I don't know. Like I don't know. I don't seem like the white dude that's what you would make fun of. I don't know. I'm cool with the brothers, all right? No, I don't think I'd ever be in that kind of situation. I just can't see that happening.
You've never been fucked with in public?
Oh, in like high school, if somebody did, there would be a high school student, and at that point, if you're it happened to me. I'm an adult now. I realize I'm an adult when because it happened like last year. I remember I got off the train and I'm like recently sober in AA, and I'm like. And I had to hold back this kid like got off the bus and just went like that stupid high school thing where he just went bah! In my face. It's like bah! And just kept walking like with a lighter or something like just to fuck with me. And I flinched for a second, and it gave me like that vibe of being like a 14-year-old, like, yeah, you bitch, you fucking white, but you know. And I'm just like, and I'm like, it's all fucking child. And I just smiled and walked away, and I didn't feel any anger. I'm just like, it's a fucking kid. Like, there's no this. I'm not gonna stop and be like, hey, kid, that was rude, and you should think about that. There's no point in anything. He's just a dumb fucking kid, and he's a dumbass. Like, he's just probably he's not gonna do well in life. He's gonna fail in life. He's like worse than I did, maybe. I don't know. If you're going around almost 20 years old, just into people like, dude, have fun getting a job and like living, like, it's not gonna work out very well. Like, that person's gonna have a tougher life as they get older if they maintain that attitude.
But is your
a dick back to them? Because I wanted to be like, I'll fuck you up, like, kind of like, yeah, kid, I'll fucking shit.
Yeah,
like,
but Brendan,
I'm gonna beat up a kid.
Brendan,
what the fuck?
Is your life any easier?
At that moment, I felt, yeah, because the way I feel about it, if somebody is being a cunt to me, right? That means they're not happy. So if I'm walking, getting on the train, I'm like having a happy, pleasant thought. I'm just like, somebody tries to ruin that and like, to me. I'm like, no, that sucks being like that. They're already in kind of a semi-state of hell. At least I'm not drunk right now. I'm sober. I'm not nauseous, worrying about puking myself and pissing myself. I'm not worried about my next drink and in a constant state of fear and anxiety. I'm smiling right now while I'm waiting for the train. So I must be semi-content to just be smiling in public without a friend. So I'm doing a lot fucking better at this moment. I don't care what my bank account says, anything else. This person is having a hard fucking time with their emotions right now, and I'm not. So why would I get down to his vibration and let him bring me down to his vibration so I could be like him the rest of the fucking day? That sucks. And I'm done with that shit. It's so fucking annoying. It's like, I used to be super angry. It's super snappy, and I used to be like, almost like I was taking control. You can't tell me what to fucking do, kind of mentality. But it's like, I have a more passive way of doing things. Because by saying you can't tell me what to do, I'm going to get angry with you and violent. You just told me what to do. You told me get angry, and I did. So I lost already by trying to defend my rights. Like, I seen like some, like I was at the plasma place, and some fucking guy. Obviously, they're not very. These people are donating plasma for $40, $50. So they're not any better than me in society at all. They're probably all worse. And we're sitting there, and the Mexican dude that's sweeping accidentally, I see it, slightly brushes this dude that's sitting next to me, his foot, like slightly, like brushes by and goes, and he doesn't know any English, this Mexican worker. And the guy's like, and a couple seconds go by. It already happened. He's already passed. He's like, yo, are you going to say anything? And he's like, "What okay? I'm sorry." Hey. He just smiles, and he doesn't understand what he's saying. He's just. They tell him, sweep around here every, hour. That's probably what he does. And the dude's still waiting. He's gonna get called to donate. He's like, "Yo, you didn't say anything? I don't want to go back to prison, but I don't want to go to prison, but I'm gonna do the responsible thing and call the manager." And I'm just like, dude, there's not even a fucking problem. You're making it, and now you're pissed off because
did you say that?
No, I'm thinking.
No, I'm saying, look, there's ways to assert yourself without causing problems. So in a given situation,
if somebody even steps on my shoe, I'm like, yo, you fucked up my kicks. It's like, dude, fuck your shoes. They're shoes. Fuck you. I know. Even since high school, there's so many like trendy, stylish kids I knew that were just like super about like their clothes. Oh, my shoes. It's like, dude, get a fucking life.
All right, relax. I'm just saying, there's ways.
I ever think about the shoes.
There's ways to assert yourself without being aggressive, right? In a situation like that. Now, this takes confidence, though. So you need to be at least tough enough to pull this off, because trouble may still happen. But what you do to assert yourself is you put your hand on them and you say, "Yo, buddy, relax. All right, calm down. Let's not do this." That's all you got.
You just made contact, though. If I was a edgy person, I'd be like, "Yo, don't fucking touch me. You don't fucking touch me." You know how people are.
No. That's you. That's you projecting your worst case scenario. When you do that, most of the time they'll relax. If you put your hand on them and you say it with honest intention, "Yo, relax." Like no one's trying to get aggressive.
I don't know. The way you're saying that's kind of aggressive.
Just listen.
I was
because you're projecting that, but in a realistic situation, what you're doing is A, you're asserting yourself, but B, you can't assert yourself unless you're willing to throw hands if it comes down to it. So this is what happens. You say, "You'll relax," But then if the minute they say, yo, what the fuck, you slug him. You don't even ask questions because you tried to defeat. You're in every right to. Now
So you only the first instance of de-escalation. After that, immediately go into combat mode.
Yes, the minute they get aggressive after your attempt at de-escalation, yes, you go straight and fucking slug him. Because we're thinking of this situation where a person's drunk. Like, let's say you're in a group of people, you're talking, and one guy's
you figure they cannot be reasoned with.
Exactly. One guy's too drunk, he's getting too rowdy, and then you go up to him and you tell him, like, yo, listen, you need to relax. And most people, problems happen because they just don't say anything. They just sit there and take it. They're like, oh fuck, I'm getting nervous, he's a little too drunk, he's getting a little aggressive. It's because they don't have the balls to just straight up tell him, yo, relax. And if they did, chances are it would have worked out better. But no, they let it happen. They act passive. The guy gets even more handsy until it gets even worse. So yeah, you have to have I guess it's a massive.
Do you scale up the target? Let's say it's okay. You scale them up, saying like, think of like, okay, if this person is so dangerous that I have to knock this fucker out right away, or do I think if I could probably let him swing at me and be able to just toss him and dodge it, so I don't need to go crazy, right?
The ladder,
hurt him.
The ladder.
So yeah, so there's a ladder of because like, you know, if you were fucking amazing like Miss Miyagi, and you knew even from behind, you can just be like. And just throw him. You wouldn't have to really engage too much. You could just fucking do nothing, and just muscle memory would just kick in when you saw a fist heading your way, and you wouldn't even need to hurt them because they just wouldn't be able to hurt you. Would that be a thing?
Yeah.
Like you could just stop every hit and just, you know, maybe not toss somebody, but like stop. Like I remember watching it was like not the 36. It was like 36 Chamber, and it was the guy went to go study kung fu with the Shaolin monks, and he accidentally snuck up on them and broke their roof. So they're like, fuck you, you're gonna fix that roof for us, or we're gonna fuck you up. So he had to spend like 2 years without learning kung fu there, just patching up rolls with these fucking ropes and shit. But while he's doing it, he's watching them train. So he develops his style to where when people are attacking him, he'll throw a punch, he'll grab their arm, then he'll go to kick them or something, and he'll grab their leg and tie them together real quick and just next, and just get in. So he just barely has to hurt these guys. He's just fighting like mobs of guys, and as they attack him, he just ties their leg to their arm.
Yeah, but but the real life, it's never that easy. Okay?
Yo, yeah, but this is a movie, a fucking kung fu movie where people can use the force almost because I'm a monk and I can throw people back.
So if you actually know what you're doing in a fight, you're not thinking reflexively. You're thinking proactively. You're like, you know, like let's say we're like, go back to that situation where I'm like, yo, you need to relax, right? What if I were to do that? I'm not just gonna go up to you like this, like, yo, you need to relax. No, I'm gonna be like this. I'm gonna be like, yo, you need to relax. What's the difference there?
You're keeping enough distance.
Exactly. So if any person who regularly fights and whatever, it's like if they spar in some art. Most people, when they don't fight, when they don't train, when they don't do martial arts, they don't understand that, because they look at the fight scenes in movies and they think it's all reactive and responsive and reflexive. It's not. It's all according to plan. And it's not just, all right, so you know about muscle memory, right? Now there's also mental muscle memory, you know, where it's like, I'm not even thinking about it, but I'm already like subconsciously I'm measuring distance all the fucking time because it's just drilled into me. I don't try to do this. It's just something I always fucking do in the back of my head. It's like when I'm talking to you right now, it's like I know I'm not in striking distance to you. I know if you were to really try to strike me right now from our sitting position, you'd have to reach over and it would be a lot.
You already see me moving a little. You see me looking. Where I'm like,
no, it's not. It's not even that deep. Well, yeah.
Also, wait, don't you look at the eyes? Because if I'm going like this, that means I'm like, I'm thinking of like going there, right? Like, isn't that like?
But I don't have to, because like at this distance, I don't have to look at your eyes because you're not even in striking distance. What'll tell me more is the movement of your shoulders, the movement of your hips, and your torso. Now, if I'm this close, then yes, I need to pay attention to your fucking eyes because I'm actually in striking distance to you, and vice versa. So yes, where you're looking at is important.
Do people always look where they're about to strike?
What do you mean?
Like if I'm about to like go at your stomach, am I gonna at least for a second like and then make this swing, or am I gonna be like, or am I gonna be like and look in that direction?
You tell me. You tell me what makes more sense to you.
Well, if I'm looking at your face, I'm gonna be looking in your eyes, so like that's hard. Yeah, but if I'm like looking like sweep, I don't know. I can't really tell.
Well, the idea is you don't want to telegraph your movements.
Yeah, it kind of hurt if you don't know what you're doing and subconsciously just like you know.
Well, yeah. So don't tell. So you got to think about these things.
Like, if I'm right here and I see like a fucking knife over there and a stick, and I look over, you're gonna look and be like, "Oh, he's looking at that shit," you know, like, you know, kind of like that. Oh, how do you feel about the fucking fight?
I didn't see it. I don't watch that shit.
You didn't? I never watched that shit. And I watched it. It was lame and sad. It sucked. It just sucked.
No, see, the things I think about is like, it's not that I have to worry about them striking. It's I play with their eye contact, right? So like, let's say we were in a sword fight and like this is a sword, right? And I have my regular stance, right? And I'm from here. So if whatever I do with the sword, you see. Now what happens if I close the distance but also do this? Suddenly it's like, oh. Yeah. Whereas if I was over here and did this, then you would see everything using your peripheral. You don't even have to look at this. You could look into my eyes and still see it. But if I play with the range and go like this, suddenly my sword's not in your box of vision.
Oh, yeah, I see.
That's how you play with eyesight. That's how you play with the opponent's eyesight. So it's, I mean, you know how you're going to use your eyes, and you got to like know how to use your peripheral vision. Same thing like cycling. Like when you're biking, do you really need to look at every car to like weave past them? No, you could literally sense it coming, and then for you to be like, you know.
Yeah,
like,
but I've had reflex moments a lot where
It's
I'm
the
like,
same-
I didn't consciously do that.
It's the
It just
same
happened.
thing.
Like when you're just going and all of a sudden, and there's no heartbeat extended, there's no extra breathing. It's just, it's like you're a fish now. It's
Dude,
like you're just the movement happens without you even thinking about
It's
it.
the same thing. Now imagine boxing, like dodging a punch is literally like weaving cars past a red
Yeah.
light. It's like if you see their shoulder move this way, it's a car coming from the right. And you're like, oh, bro. If you see their shoulder moving this way, then you know it's a car coming from the left. And you know, it's the same fucking thing. You know, like this is why I like doing lots of different things like cycling, martial arts, video games, playing guitar. It's like I see the common threads in all of these things, you know? It's mind, body, and soul harmony. Really, that's what it's all about. Pretty cool stuff, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, martial arts. I mean, it's kind of sad because I wish I could just go to my like. All my friends are old now. I started martial arts when I was like 6. I can't just tell my friends like, oh, if you want to be like me, start doing karate. It's like it's my path was already like walked like years and years.
See,
and years.
I think my life would have been very different if I would have not broken my growth plate when I was like 11, and I would have stayed in Taekwondo, because it was a way to get that. I have mental illness, man, Tourette's and shit, and it was a way to get my energy out in a disciplined manner. It was good for me, and I actually enjoyed it and was doing well in it, and I just, I ended up getting hit by a car on my bike and fracturing my growth plate, and the doctor was like, if you use it, it might not grow again.
Yeah.
So, and I just had to get signed out of it, but it was gonna be a good thing for me, and I think it would have been fucking good if I would have kept doing it, but
Yeah, for sure.
Everything happens for some kind of reason, because then again, maybe I'll be able to help someone in the future that has the same problems as I fucking did, and then it means something, That's the one thing that the program does try to give you back. They say, like, doesn't matter how far down the scale you've gone, you can see how our experience can benefit others. So, sometimes the more fucked up your story is, the more helpful you are to anyone else in those rooms. So it's like you became an asset.
Yeah.
So hopefully that helps. Because you can't really help somebody who's down in the pits if you haven't been there yourself. Or at least I wouldn't trust somebody. So whatever. I don't have regrets. I can't regret the past.
Yeah, no. I mean, shit. It
happened.
It's just martial arts is like a crazy life path. It's like it's just so it's so nuanced, I should say. Like, it's something that's so unnecessary to just live an average normal life, but at the one time it was necessary to live an average normal life. And also it's like, it's just surprising that like it's lasted for centuries and centuries and centuries,
Well, because then it's but the thing is, you have kids karate, and it's still practical because it's a form of discipline. It's a form of exercise, discipline, health. It's not just good for fighting.
Realistically, do you know why martial
If
arts?
it was just for fighting, it wouldn't sell in America because we don't need that.
But
we
do you
don't
know why?
need a fucking kung fu fight.
I'm saying, do you know why it'll never fully go away though? Martial arts.
Because It's practical.
It's because war will never go away.
Yeah, but really martial arts. If you're teaching an 8-year-old martial, it's a very small percent is about self-defense, as it's about learning how to stay disciplined and not freak out in hostile situations. It's to stay calm, stay disciplined, and develop healthy habits, I feel. So you can't really practice martial arts if you're out there fucking doing drugs all fucking day. It's like as a kid, like it's, I don't know, it teaches you a form of discipline. And Dragon Games Karate, they weren't just teaching us that, they were teaching us how to speak some Korean. They were, very like, I don't know, it was structured, it was simple. And you had like, they would teach you how to meditate a little bit.
Yeah, you gotta speak into the mic more. Because I notice every time I edit episodes with you, you always do these things where you would talk like, it's like, blah, blah, blah. So it's like,
sorry, I forget. I'm an anti-type person.
Yeah, maybe we'll get you another mic stand like I have.
Oh, that'd be so good. Yeah. Moving on up.
Yeah, martial arts. Yeah, no, it's I definitely don't regret it. It's definitely I wish more of my peers could get into it, but they're already like too old, and I don't think it's the same. Like getting into it like late. Because you could get injured, and like a lot of adults have like real jobs.
Yeah. If you're a kid and you get injured, it's like, oh, looks like I don't have to go to school. Big fucking deal.
Like by the time
I'll have fucking Tom bring me my homework.
Like by the time you're my age doing this shit, you want to be experienced enough to know how to avoid getting accidental injuries. Whereas if you're a noob swinging swords, like terrible things could happen. Like when you're 30 something years old and you're married with kids and you're swinging swords around, like that's not.
Sorry, honey, I lost couple of my fingers today, and
can't go to work.
Looks like we're gonna have to sell the kids.
Yeah, so yeah. But then on the flip side, there's some
Charlie Murphy.
Like there's one guy that I train with. He's a doctor, and I'm like, you're ballsy. Like you got to use your hands, and we smash each other's hands all the time in sparring. So it's like, fuck, it's risky.
I was learning well too. I was picking that shit up so quick. Like, the first thing they did is bring me downstairs. They do like a test. Like, let's see what you kind of can do with knowing nothing. So they're like, okay, this is how you do a shuffle side kick. Let's see you do it. And they're like, well, that's actually really good. Okay, snap kick. I got it immediately. So I'm like, okay, I got this shit. It was really good for me.
No, the funniest thing is though, it's like. It's when you have guys that watch like a lot of movies, like sword fighting movies, like anime and stuff, and then they come in thinking they're the shit, because they're strong.
Like me with the lightsabers that I've been playing with in my backyard for all those years.
And then I'm just like, but it's different. Like there's a difference between when they come.
Watch every episode of it, and you watch it, and he thinks he's a fucking sword
master. Yeah. They're not all like that. Some are actually, they know they're new at something. Like they know they suck at something. The girls that come in, like the women, like they're the best students, honestly, because they're like they come in from a place of like acknowledged ignorance. Like they know they don't know. But then you got the guys that come in who've watched like a lot of anime, and it's even funnier when they're like big and strong too. So like they'll fight me.
No matter how big you are, when there's a sharp object.
So they'll fight me, spar me, and then like they're like, you're not gonna wear a helmet. I'm like, yeah, I don't really fight with a helmet. And they're like, all right. And then like within like the first 5 seconds, they'll like give me the hardest swing, and I just step back and bow, like right on the top of their head, and that automatically it flips a switch in them, and they suddenly start moving very differently because like like they feel very empowered with the sword. Like they just, because usually we spar at the end of classes. We do the beginning just learning like actual like metal sword play and like learning forms and swings and stuff, and like very structured learning. Then when you spar, it's like, oh, finally I get to use this stuff against an opponent, using our sparring swords. And I'm like, all right, come on. And like one of the recently new guys, he's like a big dude, and he did like capoeira and stuff. And then he's like, you have such a kind face, but then I fight you, and then it's like you hurt me really bad. I don't know, man. Because like to me, I'm like, I'm being nice, because like compared to my teacher, the way he fights me, it's like. And like since I'm a senior, a lot of guys would like fight me for a little while before they actually get to fight my teacher, and I'm like, oh, you didn't get to, like everyone, and all the old students would be like, oh, you didn't fight sensei yet, like that's an experience. So like when that new guy fought my teacher for the first time like a couple of days ago, he was like, shit, I thought Chris was bad. And I saw it, he was like, oh, pow, and I was like, damn. Like I was like, ooh. He even knew to be worried when it was their turn to spar. I was like, wait, take my spot. I want to see this. And he was like, oh shit. You know, like it was really funny. It was a funny sight to behold. Yo, if you fought my teacher, you would know fear. You would know true fear.
I wouldn't. I'd just probably run away. I just wouldn't do it. Like,
no, I mean, because like the way it's set, it's a very tricky. It's a fun thing because like, you know, we spend most of the class doing like very structured, like drawing, sheathing, basics and stuff. And then at the end, you feel all confident. You're like, yeah, I know how to handle a sword better. I was swinging a sword like for an hour straight. I could spar.
So does everyone else in the room.
Yeah, and then you get your ass fucking kicked in, and it's like shit. It's fun. It's fun. I mean,
same thing as Pokemon. You beat the game, you think you're fucking good at it, and then you realize everyone else beat the game, and they're gonna kick your ass in Pokemon.
Yeah, but what happens when you're actually good, though? You know, and that's like a different feeling. You know?
Well, I do win a little bit, but only half of the time. So I'm on a 50-50 right now with the Pokemon games. I just can't. And then I'll get a couple, and then I swear to God, these fucking Japanese kids. I swear to God.
I very rarely lose like matches these days. The only time I consistently lose is against like one senior, one or two seniors, and my teacher. So that's like 3 people who regularly beat me all the time. No, actually it's like 1 senior, I think, at this point. But yeah, I fucking shit. It's weird being good at sword fighting. It's like I want to tell God. It's like I told God. It's like I'd like to devote my life to music, and God's like, the best I could do is a weird and uncanny ability in Japanese sword fighting. And you're like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
What am I gonna do with that in the fucking 21st century?
Always get what you want.
Yeah. But you know what? I'll say this much. It's like, I may not have a badass moment where I'm like surrounded by ninjas and I go out fighting, but at least I could say training in swordsmanship has aligned me in mind, body, and soul stronger than anything else that I've ever done.
That's what I think is the most important of a martial art, is that the strength and discipline it would give you.
The alignment is more important, I think. Yeah. Because it's one thing to have a strong body, it's one thing to be smart, and it's one thing to have
You're going to lose the skill, but you're not going to lose the discipline. That's the thing. Like, you can hold on to discipline forever. You can't hold on to strength and speed for the rest of your life, you know? So even when you're dying and decrepit, at least you'll still have that mentality with anything you can do, you know? Because we're all like...
Yeah, but then how do you explain like the old masters who could just like handily always beat like, you know, the small, like the younger, stronger guy?
Well, eventually.
But then why does that happen? The old guy isn't stronger or faster.
Well, sure, when they hit like 60, 70 something.
Do you know what the old guy has that the stronger guy doesn't?
Experience?
I mean, what about the experience? Like, what in the experience does? Because like, think about it. How can this frail old master beat this like experienced, younger, stronger, faster guy? Like, how? What is the difference? If it's not being faster and it's not being stronger, then what is it?
It's technique.
What does that mean though? Like, how does that translate to actually winning the fight? Like, superior technique.
It means they have more of a knowledge of what to do in situations than the other one. Like, how did Obi-Wan beat Anakin? He was thinking clearer. He had the fucking high ground, and he fucking did it. Anakin was better.
Okay, so think of it like this, like, right? Whereas this is what experience gives you. The faster guy can throw like a really solid fast punch, like, and that's going to be enough to like knock him out. The old guy will just be like, you know, much more efficient, right? But the only way for that to work is you got to be closer. It's high risk. Whereas the younger guy can rely more on strength to close the distance and speed to cover that distance. Whereas the old guy has to know to go just close enough to just get barely missed and to just launch this simple like extension of the arm to be able to like knock the guy out. That's what experience gives you. Courage. Not like stupid courage, but it's like, I know how to close the distance so close. Whereas if you're the fast guy, like every punch, it's like you miss by a
Well, also, I think it's also the plan. It's like, that guy is more sure. Yeah, he doesn't have as many backup plans. The other guy has to have more backup plan, another plan, a full.
He's got a million plans.
Yeah, he has to be a couple steps.
He's like, oh, you throw a punch, I could do this, I could do this, I could do.
It's kind of like if you're a bike messenger and you're riding. I'm just using an analogy of something I know. If you're riding a super fast new messenger, and you can just fucking bike. Like you're the 60-year-old guy who's been doing this since the '80s, and you're getting a little tired. But you know traffic, and you know what to do in any situation.
You know what reds you could cross easy.
Yeah, and you just go that little and you're able to get through faster. Even the guy's pedaling harder because he's pedaling harder, and then he got stuck right here, and you're just barely trying. You're putting in less effort because you're not trying to use your strength and speed to. You're actually being smart about it. You're working smarter than harder because you have to. At a certain point, you can't run up and down the steps this many times as a 20-year-old. You can't right now. I'm getting older, and I have to run up and down the steps to grab stuff. Now, if I was 20 and I'm fucking like hopped up on whatever, I'd be like, oh, grab a can of tomatoes and run back up. Oh yeah, I forgot to grab the fruit. I'm gonna go up down and grab it. I don't want to go up the stairs the second time, so I'm going to look at what can I grab and bring up there on the way up that I don't have to worry about it later. And deal with that later. What can I, how can I consolidate this and make less trips and deal with this, So it's kind of like just working smarter than harder. But
it's a weird feeling though. Like in terms of swordsmanship, like being a 33-year-old who could do stuff that like the 45-year-old practitioners who've been doing it for a long time, if you could do stuff that they can't do. Like, how would you feel about that? Like, let's say you're a bike messenger and you're like in your 20s and there's like a 40-year-old guy who's been doing it like 15, 20 years longer than you, but you could do things he can't do. What would you classify yourself as at? A maverick, a prodigy or something like, or just a natural maybe? Gifted? Talented? Like there are certain messengers that are like 30-year-olds, but they ride like they've been doing the job for 30 years already, You ever see those guys? Like they win all the monster track races and shit. Those guys are the real deal. I think those are real, true talented, like true.
You don't just be trying that much harder.
No.
Some people want something more, try harder.
No, it takes more than that. I think some people. All right, it's not about learning a certain thing really good. Some people learned how to learn. You know what I'm saying? Like there's learning something, but then if you're good at learning things, like in general, like you're not just good at learning, you're not just good at one thing by learning it. You're good at learning. Like
a fast learner.
Yeah. But that's a skill. That's a skill in and of itself. And is that not the most important skill, if anything?
Yeah. I feel there's different types of fast learners because I've heard a lot, and I like when I'm asked this question. It's a very valid question to ask, especially working in a new place and learning a new skill.
Did you say a phallic question?
Valid.
A valid question.
A very phallic question. It's always like, are you a tactile learner or, a book learner and things like that. So some people are tactile learners. Like me, as someone with ADHD, I needed more like on hands actual experience. Like I can't just, I don't know. I need more practical knowledge. I need someone to show me something, like cut like this and this and this. Like even if I know what an inch is, I'm like, just cut one for me, and then from this day forward, it'll be exactly like that every single time.
Oh, so you have to be programmed, like you're like a
put it in my programming, and then let my muscle memory do the rest. But first, you got to program it into the machine for it to do it. Just like if I programmed a robot to go do I have to program, but then it's going to do it without fail every time.
Okay, so what if?
But if it doesn't, instead of
waiting for another guy to cut it for an inch for you, what if you just like looked it up yourself on YouTube, and then that's like self-directed programming, self-programming. That's what I'm good at. I'm good at I'm with you. I agree with you. I'm the type of guy who like, yes, I need to be programmed but I'm a fast learner. I could be programmed very quickly.
Yeah, instead of looking
at a recipe,
I want to watch somebody do it.
But however, what I learned how to do is not, instead of just waiting around for someone to program me, I learned how to go and find media of people recording.
Yeah, but we have that.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't always have that. So
now we do. And that's what I've been using.
40 years ago, if you wanted to learn martial arts, you had to. I remember when I was a kid, actually, I bought books. I would go to the library and take out a book about, step 1 for beginners, martial arts, and they would have pictures sometimes, but it would mostly be words. And that was the only other way. So you couldn't just go and look at somebody. If I want to learn a song on a guitar, I either listen to it and play it, and if I can't do it right away, I watch somebody playing. I say if I want to learn how to play something on acoustic guitar, I go acoustic cover, blah blah blah, and I watch 5 other fucking people do it. And I'm like, there it is. Okay, I find the one I like the most, or mix of the versions I like the most, and then make my own out of it. But I need to watch you do it before I can make my own version of it, and I need to do it your way, and then go, okay, I'm going to change it to this.
That's funny, because so it's like with swordsmanship, right? Like I learned one style, because I go to one school, but now I could go on YouTube and I could look up like other schools' techniques. And historically, this was unheard of, because traditionally
Like you're watching them train. That's not fair.
Schools did not allow their techniques to be let out. That was like a super secret. Because if everyone knew what your moves were, they would be able to fucking beat you.
You'd have to send a spy, and if they got caught, they weren't coming back.
But now, I may not train in their style, but me training in my style, I could look at what they're doing, look at their techniques, and then I could try it myself, and I could be like, oh, I see what they're doing here. And on top of that, I could be like, I could actually do this better my way, because I'm not like locked into their doctrine. And some schools, some old schools never train with metal swords. We train with metal swords, so I get to transfer what they train with their bamboo swords into my actual Kenjutsu sword play. So I get to take it to the next level. And on top of that, there's also cases where it's like, for example, like I would realize, the technique, like I would connect the dots. I would be like, they do this technique, but that's just a different version of what we do in our style. It's the same fucking thing.
I like that, because I need to, and not only do I need to know how to do, I need to know why it's done that way.
Yeah.
And like,
but if you
don't ask why, just do what I do. I'm like, no, I need to know why I'm doing it to be able to do it correctly.
But since I do my style,
it's a neurodivergent fucking thing, but I need to know why before I fucking do anything. That's why in school, when I said, why are we learning this? They said, because it's on the test. And I'm like, then why is it on the test? And they're like, and I'm like, well, I can't learn this. You're not telling me why in any practical way other than the test that you made for me.
But now the why is unavoidable. Like, for example, you play guitar. It's like why did this guy play it like this? And then you look at like 5 other people play it, and they say, oh, this is why this guy plays it like this. So same thing with swordsmanship.
Experiential learning.
If I learn just one style, my own style, nothing but, and I'm like, why do we do this? Why do we do it? And then I learn how other styles do their version of that same technique. I'm like, oh, this is why we do it like this, because we train with metal swords and they train with bamboo swords. So it's like, this is why it's like a different transmission of it. But it's not like we got it 100% right. They definitely didn't get 100% right. But if I find the mid ground, I see where it's supposed to be now.
You know what helps me at job? Like when somebody says to me, when somebody teaches like a good chef, somebody will be like, okay, like cut it like this, and it goes down the middle, and then it goes like this, right? But if you want to cut it starting this way, whatever works for you, whatever way you think you can get this done the best, but the pieces need to be this size. So they will give me options. They will say, this is how I do it. But if you find that if you cut it down this way first, and then cut it this way, and if that's easier for you, you don't have to do it the way I'm doing. You can do it that way. That's good, and that helps me a lot. Certain things like working different positions, like if you're just a dishwasher, and all day they're throwing you pans with caked up fucking cheese that could have been washed instantly and not stuck there. Now it's gonna take you forever to soak and wash, and you're pissed. You're like, why the fuck are they throwing all this dirty shit at me? And being like, you're gonna get pissed unless you've also been a cook, and then you realize, there's no time to bring that to you are fucking in the middle of a million orders. You use that pan, you throw it into the bucket, you grab a new fresh one, you cook that next fucking thing, you go. And it's up to the dishwasher to grab that shit and clean it for you. And no matter how much you fucked up that pan, you had a reason why you fucked up that pan. It was busy, you had that one on while you had to grab a new one, the orders were coming in. You had no time to make sure the pan was fine. You made sure the food was good. And that's now up to me to make up.
That's like mental memory.
Yes, but I would be pissed if I was just a dishwasher. Because I'd be like, motherfucker, why do you have to fucking burn the pan? Oh, yes, I did. I'm sorry.
You motherfucker.
Muscle memory. Which is weird. It's not even a thief thing. The lighter thing, I don't think anyone's ever stolen a lighter maliciously. Like, yeah, fuck this guy. Like, I don't think anyone, maybe once or twice in the history of I think every lighter stealing has always just been like, oops.
Yo, by the way, I'm so glad I switched back to cigarettes. I'm done with vaping. You know what? You know what made me switch back to cigarettes?
I don't understand that.
It's when I started viewing tobacco as like a medicine and not just like
not the way we're doing. Well, maybe you're getting American spirits, but like,
dude, I ration my cigarette. So here's my thing. Every day I set aside. I have three separate packs. I have my ration pack, my podcasting pack, and my car pack. My car pack, I only smoke 1 cigarette per hour on the drives, right? My ration pack, I set aside 2 to 4 cigarettes a day. It's either I'm smoking 2 cigarettes or 4 cigarettes a day. And the podcasting pack is what we're doing now. I just pull from it.
Whatever.
Yeah. So I end up usually smoking tops like 6 cigarettes tops a day. Usually I'm smoking 2. So I think I'm doing it right. You know, and like I smoke Native American.
The vape is kind of like
there's no limit.
Habitual. Where a cigarette can be ritualistic.
Yeah.
That vape, you don't set aside. It's after dinner. I'm gonna have a vape. You just pull it out of your pocket whenever you fucking feel like it and just do it. Or you don't even think about it, and all of a sudden you realize you're taking a hit of your vape in the mall, and you're not supposed to be.
Also, like I'm sorry, like tobacco is just more spiritual. It's a spiritual thing. It's a bounty of nature.
Like it's like a plant.
What?
It's like a plant.
Yeah, so it's like, I feel more spiritually connected to cigarettes than I do vapes. I just do. Don't you?
No, to me, it's just a nicotine. I like cigarettes for different reasons.
Well, also,
it's kind of like how I like electric and acoustic guitars.
I also want to add that Native American spirits are very different than what I used to smoke with like Marlboro Reds and Newports and shit. Don't you think so?
They definitely
speaking to the mic.
They definitely take longer to smoke. Sometimes it's too much. I don't know. I like cigarettes when I'm walking and moving around, and for the ritualistic effect to like take a couple minutes out of something, like especially when you work as a cook.
I don't like smoking when I'm walking. I like smoking. I like smoking when I'm standing and when I'm alone, when I'm thinking. I think smoking for me is a thinking thing. Like I like smoking when I'm taking like a course online, or when I'm like studying something or reading. Like that's when I like smoking. I like smoking when I'm like sitting alone. Like, usually when I smoke cigarettes during the day, like my 2 to 4 cigarettes, I don't even take my phone with me. I like sitting outside and just like raw dogging the cigarette. You know what I mean?
Oh no. Not for me. I like riding a bike and smoking. If I'm riding a bike, I like having a cigarette while I'm doing it.
Yeah, that's always
my favorite time to smoke a cigarette. It's riding a bicycle fast too, just cruising, just like kind of like driving and smoking.
Nah, my favorite thing, and I should never do this on a brakeless fixie in the street. But my favorite thing is a brown bag, yellow Coors tall boy in one hand, cigarette in the other, and I'm just like riding. I've done it. And I'm just like sipping, like spilling a little, and the bag gets a little wet, and I'm smoking the cigarette. I'm like, yeah, and I'm like,
I used to be able to pull up my bag of top or something while I was riding with no handlebars and roll a cigarette. While I was doing that, and like light it and then keep going and shit like that, or I'd pull out my pipe and take a hit or eat or something like that while I was riding. Like I got so good at riding. That's why I need to get a new bike, man. I can ride so
well.
bad.
My favorite thing to do on fixed gear, my favorite thing to do is to ride with no hands, like drink and smoke at the same. I could do that all day. It's easier on a fixed gear, honestly. But on a single speed, my favorite thing is, I like that I can tie my shoes while riding a single speed. It's like you just coast, and then you just pull your crank up and you tie your shoe.
As a messenger, I would ride without handlebars, not to be cool or anything, just because being in that position
it's comfortable. You just like lean back.
Just changing position. Like if you're sitting in one position all day on a bicycle like this, it's like different, like different muscles, different. Like you're actually, like transferring some of the damage, like some of the strength to the other muscles, so it's actually helping you.
Okay, well, here's the thing:
you can sit up straight when you've been hunched over the fucking handlebars the whole fucking day.
The truth is,
on you.
It's not that much easier to ride with no hands on a fixed gear, because on a fixed gear it just seems easier because you're constantly pedaling, and you could use like the momentum of your pedals to steer.
It feels like your bike's a part of your body. That's one thing about. You feel like if you've been riding a fixed gear all the time and you get on over it feels broken. It feels like it's not connected to you.
Nah, here's what people don't get about coast, like bikes where you could coast, like road bikes, freewheels, or cassettes. Like the truth is, you're not supposed to stop pedaling on those either. Like people think like, oh, just because you can coast, you're supposed to do it a lot. No, like if you, for example, like when I ride a single speed, I don't really think of it like when I'm really getting around on when I ride my single speed, I don't really treat it like a bike that can coast. I always make sure to keep my cadence. Like I always treat it like a fixie. Well, that's how you're supposed to ride them. People don't know that. They're so inefficient.
When I lived with this older messenger, he would rode a fixed gear for a while, but it's only he was a front brake, and then he didn't, and then he went back on a freewheel, and he's like, I used the fixed gear for a year to learn cadence and to.
That's how you're supposed to ride a bike.
Now I can ride it with the.
Like when you ride a freewheel bike,
and if you do ride a fixed gear, you don't stop. So you realize how much energy you actually, momentum you lose when you stop pedaling.
Exactly. When you ride a regular bike, even whether it's a fixed gear or not, you should always feel like you're pushing down on the pedals.
A little bit.
You should never feel like the pedals are pulling you, and you should never feel like, you're like the pedals are outdoing you. You should always at least, you don't have to like sprint all the time, but you have to at least outdo your gear ratio by like 1%, at least. That is the maximum of efficiency because that is cadence. That is using the least amount of energy to propel yourself the greatest distance.
Yeah.
So like, like that's why I'm saying like when people are saying like, how do you ride a fixed gear? It's like you never stop pedaling. I'm like, even if you're riding like a regular bike, you're not really supposed to stop.
That first ding on that pedal when you stop pedaling and then you have to catch up to the cadence again.
That's traction
loss.
That
is fucking. You're breaking your fucking tendon every time you do that.
You're losing torque first.
And if you're biking a lot, you should not be going ting again and starting again.
You know what that's like?
Stopping and then going ting.
That's like
punching.
You know what that's like?
Pedal.
That's like driving in manual and you're in like. You're already going like 40 miles per hour, but then you start in third gear or second gear, and then you try. It's like
catch up to it.
Yeah. It fucks it up. It fucks up the synchro. Same thing on a bike. You're not supposed to stop pedaling. Like.
Also, I fucking hate the people I know it just irks me. The fucking people who ride with
E-bikes?
People who suck at riding bikes and ride those fucking like a mountain bike and they put it on the gear that's meant to like go straight uphill and they just like.
I don't mind that.
Riding,
whatever.
and it's like, dude, what are you doing? Put the
let them fucking let them do it.
I don't know why it annoys me. I have a problem. I get annoyed by things that shouldn't even bother.
The e-bikes should annoy you even more than that.
Well, because that is actually a rational annoyance because that's out of fear because it is dangerous to my health and my well-being. But somebody else just looking stupid should not annoy me.
You want to hear something even more crazy? So they have the whole e-bike build reduced into the rear hub and they have this in 120 millimeter spacing. So what does this mean? Imagine you see my single speed, like I could make that an e-bike just by swapping out like the rear hub. Like if I unlaced it and swapped in like a rear hub that accepts like that electric it's a self-propelled like it's a pedal assist system.
I'll try that. How much are all those things?
Yo, it's actually pretty cheap. You just have to buy the hub, lace it onto your wheel, and it works. So you don't need
like almost like a single speed.
It is a single speed. It's a single freewheel cog, and you basically get a full functionality of that rear hub pedal assist.
So if you normally easily go 10 to 15 miles an hour, you're
going
doing
like
the same
25
distance and you're going 25, 30 and with the same amount of energy.
Less energy.
Wow.
Do you know how dangerous that's
scary? Yes, that's scary.
Look, it's one thing to do it on those heavy steel pig frames, that we see the Chinese. That's one thing. But to slap that onto that, like, that's fucked up, dude. Think about it. Like, you've ridden single speed frames.
Okay, I think, like...
No. Think about this. You ever see those, like, really tricked out aluminum single speed frames?
I've ridden them.
What?
I've ridden them.
Yeah, so imagine...
Have them break on me, too.
So imagine giving that kind of bike, the ability to just go 25, 30. Like, easy. Like, that's
you wouldn't even be able to go down a hill at that speed because you wouldn't stay on the ground and you would start flying.
You think so?
Yeah. Depending on how steep the hill is.
Yeah.
If you're going fast, you're going to start, like... You're going to remove from the ground if you're going steep enough. Just... And then you're gonna tumble because the weight distribution not being on the ground, you're gonna go forward and you flip up.
Dude, wait till you see it. Like, it's literally just a hub.
I've been some of the worst, like, hurt being. It's when hitting a front brake, going fast, and never again will I ever just have a fucking front brake on a fucking bike.
So
I have flipped over whole streets.
Here's the problem. Those hubs, those electric single speed hubs, they come in like big tooth counts, right? Like 18, 19 tooth or something. But imagine pairing that, right, on top of like a 55 tooth cog or 57 tooth cog, right? Like on the front. So not only do you have the capacity to like pick yourself up to like 20, 25 easy, but then even if you took over with your natural pedaling and you had a heavy gear ratio, dude, that's fucked up. Like, that's dangerous, man. And your frame is already super light. Because
the best advice of the messenger is you should only go as fast as you can stop.
Well, that's why you ride it with brakes. You know, if you have.
But if you can't go that, if you can't like this with if you're riding a brake with 6 gear, you should not go super fast, ever, because you can't stop super fast. Unless you're really fast. Depending on how good you are at stopping on a dime is how fast you should allow yourself to go.
So here's the thing. Like with fixed gear, I'm sure you know this, but I'll just say this for our viewers. So when it comes to fixed gear, you're stuck on one ratio. You can't coast. So like backpedaling is very important. Now, it's not like when your gear ratio is too light, you're basically making too many rotations to cover some distance compared to if your gear ratio is too heavy, you only have to pedal like this much and you're already covering a lot of distance. Now, the pros and cons to this are like, yeah, that sounds good in theory, but then when you have to go uphill, you have to use way more force to like climb that hill because the ratio is a lot harder. But if it's too light and you're going downhill, then you're gonna like end up spinning out. And also like when you're on flat land, like you're only gonna go so fast on a gear ratio that's too light. So there is a golden ratio, and everyone argues about this. Every fixed gear rider debates about this. Like, oh no, 49-17 is the best. Nah, man, 42-13 is the best, or 45-14 is the best. Personally, I think the best is 49-17. I think like when it comes to like fixed gear riding on like nothing bigger than 32C tires, then yeah, 49-17 is the most middle ground. Because here's the thing, like you might not have even known this. When it comes to your gear ratio, it affects your skid patches on your back tire. It's very annoying, like when you have to skid to stop, like if you're riding brakeless, like there's only going to be specific spots in your rear tire that get skidded out down to the threads. And you're going to have to swap tires, and that's expensive. Now, the ratio matters because, like, let's say you run 46...
I don't ever skid anymore. I never have to.
If your gear ratio is evenly distributed, like if you divide the big number by the small number in the cogs, and it comes out to an even clean number or a small decimal number, that means the skid patches are going to be few. There's only going to be like 3 skid patches. However, if you divide the number of teeth on your chainring by the number of teeth on your cog, and the number's like 2.79856 blah 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 blah, that's a good ratio, because that means as it turns and it's
change every single time,
it's going to change the skid patch. So it's cool that you know that. Yeah, so it's true.
I just kind of figured that out just now.
yeah. So it's like when you have like a 40, for example,
you couldn't rotate it higher.
So yeah, you can, but that's annoying. But if you run 49-17, all you got to do is just ride it, and it's going to constantly change the skid patterns. You know?
Yeah, and I always get that one bubble that it would eventually the tube would come out of it and just on me. I've ridden on pieces of tube hanging out for days before, though.
Now you have a lot more freedom with this idea of like your single speed gear ratio causing skid patches. Like you could easily subvert that if you ride single speed, because if you ride single speed, it doesn't fucking matter, right? You know, because like, A, you're not going to be skidding. You like, I don't care who you are. You have 2 brakes for a fucking reason. Don't fucking skid your rear tire on a single speed bike. Like, that's fucking stupid. Don't fucking do. Well,
I don't do. After a while riding fixed gear correctly, you know how to look ahead and time things to where you never have to skid. You should never really, unless you're deciding to put yourself in danger. For years, I've never skidded. At first, I thought it was because I'm in Texas, not the same with traffic. Nope. Don't skid in Manhattan either. I have to slow down really quickly sometimes, but I never had to go, whoa, and skid. I don't even have the muscle memory for a skid anymore. I don't skid.
You know I could skid like a
And I feel like popping is better than skidding.
You know I could skid like a motherfucker.
Yeah, but I mean, like, popping is better than skidding. Lifting the back tire, rotating it in, just slamming it down on the back of the ground, just shut the fuck up. You know, just stop it.
Well, that's why, it's funny. Like when I see like dudes riding brakeless fixies, but they have like some nice, and you may not care about tires because you, as a messenger, the messenger mentality with tires is just get the cheapest tires and just go through them.
No,
get a
because
Mr.
the
Tuffy.
better ones last longer. And
Armadillos.
Yeah, armadillos. You usually get armadillos.
Armadillo with a Mr. Tuffy. It's like the best combo.
Yeah,
it'll last,
if
it'll
you're a
last
messenger,
fucking forever.
Because you're losing more money if you have to stop in the day.
So for those of you who don't know, a Mr. Tuffy is a lining, like a plastic lining that goes between your tire and the inner tube of the tire. And so even if you skid your tire down past the threads, it'll still hold up.
So Tuffy's under there.
Yeah. But for example, like on my fixed gear, it's brakeless, so I run like these shitty but they're fat, like they're 40 centimeter tires or 40 millimeter tires. But they're cheap, because I know I'm gonna skid the shit out of them just because I like skidding. It's fun. I do tricks and shit. So yeah, I'm gonna fuck my tires up. On my single speed, I run like Pan Racer Gravel Kings that cost like $60 for a tire because I know I'm not gonna be skidding those. Like I know I'm not gonna be fucking like slamming my rear brake and like fucking the treads. Because like if you have like cyclocross tires, like those tires like don't just work on the street. Like if you have to ride on the trails in like around Midland Beach, or if you have to like ride those dirt trails like in the back, like in the wood cuts of the back roads in Staten Island, those are perfect. Gravel Kings, like they'll just go right over. Armadillos are just a go-to if you're 100% street riding. Armadillos are good if you. Okay, so here's the thing about fixed gear trends. A lot of things about the new frames that old school guys like yourself, you're an old school guy. The old school frames are more suitable for if you're strictly like skinny tire riding. The new frames that everyone likes to look for is, can this fit fat tires? Can this accommodate fat tires? I want to run like beyond 36. I want to run like 40, 42. That's what a lot of like new school fixed gear riding is about. They want to ride off-road. They call it tracklocross.
Oh, tracklocross, like cyclocross.
But track bikes, yeah. You would love like tracklocross. Not even like competing, just like going to a tracklocross event. You see like cool bikes with like knobby fixed gear bikes, and you drink a bunch of beers. Hang around a bunch of crusty messengers, and they're just super into bikes. And yeah, it's a good time. Although messengers are like extinct now. Like bike messaging is just
we used to call us messengers called them fakingers. And it was like the fucking Williamsburg fucking preppy fuck with his stupid fucking
Fadsters.
He has like the small chrome bag that you can probably hold envelopes in, you little bitch. And he has like the super shiny, nice fucking clothing and new fresh shiny bike.
$4,000.
Never worked a day in his life.
$4,000 bike.
Yeah, you never seen a day of work in his life on it. And he walks around and we call them fakingers. Like they are about the culture and everything. It's like, dude, we only have the culture because we have the fucking job, and the job sucks. So unless you want to work this shitty fucking job, shut the fuck up and stop trying to pretend to be one of us. It's not cool.
To be fair though, like fixed gear riding in the street did grow beyond just messaging. The case in point, fixed gear riding is still around, messaging is not. Therefore,
then you're not a messenger. It's not a messenger. You're just doing tricks. Like it's a trick thing. A messenger is it's just a crappy job for fucking local ass people. That's really all it really is. The best advice I've gotten from a messenger, he was like 60 something years old, been doing this since the 80s. He's like, listen, as a senior messenger, best advice for you as a messenger is this: quit, get another job, do anything else.
My now it's like get an e-bike.
He was actually filing bankruptcy.
Yeah. Yo, dude, let's talk about this for a second. Like bike messaging, how dead bike messaging is. Bike messaging is fucking dead.
It was the last of the. It's like the last of the things. It's okay.
Of course, it was gonna die. There was no way it was gonna last forever. You know what? All right. So bike messaging actually didn't completely die. It split off. All the legit guys who were just trying to make an honest buck, they all started delivering for Uber Eats and Grubhub. Now all the guys who were about that real get money shit, they started selling drugs. The bike messengers who were really about the hustle and wanted to make money and didn't give a fuck about the repercussions, they started selling weed. And they made a lot of money doing it.
I did it for a little bit, but I was addicted to heroin, so I didn't do very well.
Well, that's the problem. The bike messengers that went on to sell drugs with their crafts, they ended up in a bad position because they were already fucking drug addicts. Rest in
Acid
peace,
reflux
Wonka.
is so bad. They changed my acid reflux meds, and it's not working.
Wonka's dead. I can't believe he died.
Yes, yeah. I've ridden with him. I've almost died riding with him. So.
Actually, I can't believe he died. Rest in peace, Wonka. What's your memory of Wonka?
Him being a psycho and almost dying with him, trying to catch up with him in the streets.
You ever see him do graffiti?
Yeah, I've seen him around. He just stops and does it real quick. He was just wild. He had too much energy.
Yeah, is that what you think?
And he'd be talking to like 2 different companies over his like. You like going? Yeah. Okay. West 27th Street. Where's it going? All right, Cole. You want to got it? Oh, hold on. Yeah. Hello. Oh yeah. Okay, pick up there. Where? All right, I'll grab that one too. I'm like, you just talk. How many? And I looked at his manifest. I'm like, he pulled out like 3 or 4 different like mobile delivery services, speedrunner delivery services, quick track delivery. I'm like, are you working for 3? Are you working 3 drive? That's like me walking into the restaurant and going, well, yeah, let me start work, chef. Hold on, I gotta use the bathroom, and then run next door to the next restaurant and work for them for 5 minutes and go, hold on, let me use the bathroom, chef. That's what he was doing to these companies. He was going, yeah, okay, I'll deliver, I'll call you back in a second. And he'd pick up another company's package, hold on to that, and call him. I'm like, dude, there's no time. Then he'd stop, like, come on, we're gonna go smoke a joint somewhere. And every call's like, motherfucker, like honking on their horns because he's not obeying any rules.
You know what you didn't realize?
Inconsiderate to everyone around him.
Those were the real serious messengers. That was the like you were a serious messenger, but those were the super serious messengers. Those were the super like those were the guys.
He was all in the same time working for. If I worked for a company and said, yeah, it's like working for the post office. And at the same time,
UPS
working for FedEx.
Yeah.
At the same time with both trucks.
You know what that was? That should have been like the first. That should have been like one of the.
And they don't know about each other.
That should have been one of the first earliest signs that the messenger business was dying. Because when the messenger business was actually doing good,
they would give you so much you wouldn't have time to do.
No messenger would ever have to.
No, yeah, they would tell me. It's like, dude, and they said back in the day, because like my time, you know. We pick up so many garment bags, and they have oversized. You get an extra $5 of this because it's over 20 pounds, and you have a lot of this shit, pieces of art, and like garment bag, heavy
and paychecks, like for payroll,
yeah, but they said like, back in the day, messengers like you would just stop somewhere, pick up fucking 50 fucking envelopes at a time,
checks,
and just
paychecks.
Boom, 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 and it's just you can carry 1,000,000 of these, and just before you know, you had fucking 50 deliveries on by the day. If you hit 20 in a day, in my day, you had a fucking awesome day.
Yeah, and you could get 20 in a day easy.
You could make the rent with 15 a day, barely, you know, and then 20 a day, you had a little bit of extra. If you were a fucking psychopath and you stayed later and worked horrible hours, and came in and worked during the shittiest times, never missed a day, and maybe you did like 22, 23, 24.
We really do that job in like the very end of it, like the very, very end of it. Sunman, when he did it, he worked for Champion, but that was when it was already gone. And
Champion was brutal work.
And right after he left Champion, he got right into food delivery. That's what happened. Like messenger delivery just turned into food delivery overnight. Like a lot of messengers were like, what? You're telling me I could just have this app to do no, I don't have to fuck around with a dispatcher, and this app will just like if because they knew, like messengers knew, like new guys who would try to deliver.
It doesn't feel like a real job. It's not a real fucking job. It's a gig. You're an independent contractor for each thing, so you're not employed.
No, you don't have a W-2.
And they're fucking sucking the life out of us by doing this to us.
Yes,
they're not letting the common worker have a fucking real security and a fucking job, and that's fucked up, you know. And like I liked getting into work, and then actually I had a dream about Elite last night. That's weird. I keep having dreams. This is a very recurring dream for years and years now that I work for Elite again. I know I have a dream that I keep calling into Elite, and I never make it to the office most of the time. And I call in, and I always, like last night's dream was I called Elite, and I hadn't called in to work for like months. And it's like in the dream that, ever have a dream where you have like a background history fabricated into the dream?
Sure.
Okay. So the history of this dream was that I just like every once in a while called in, picked up 2 or 3 packages, and sometimes didn't even deliver them and left. But I have all these paychecks that I never picked up that I keep meaning to go by the office, but I think they hate me because I'll show up for a day and then decide I don't want to do it anymore and then leave. And it's just this weird recurring dream. But I think like I want to be able to, you need to show up Monday through Friday. I'm here at 10 o'clock every day. There's an office. I can stop by the fucking office. I pick up a paycheck at the office. I have coworkers.
You missed it.
That work for the same company.
You fucking miss it, dude.
Yeah, you never don't miss some parts of it, yeah.
Dude, that shit was so good.
I tried to do it when I went back, and that one older guy was like, listen, I've been doing this since the 90s. It's not the same anymore. You're not going to get that. Most of the guys I know that used to do it work just like you said. Same fucking thing.
You know what was cool? You know what? Maybe if you go to a country like Indonesia or something, maybe they still got shit like that going on, you know? Nah, probably not. Like, everyone's connected to the internet now.
Yeah, everyone has their fucking internet.
But you know what?
But we had the internet then too, though. How do you think if I didn't know where something was, I had Google Maps. So what's the fucking difference now?
But you know what?
All those other companies, the Uber shit.
You know what it is though? No matter what major metropolitan city you live in though, there will always be guys who love riding their bikes in their city. And there will always be guys who are the best at riding their bikes fast in the city. And there'll always be people who need something delivered within minutes. And there's
you can
nothing
dematerialize something, or we have Futurama tubes. It's going to have to be able.
Pneumatic tubes, that's what they call it.
It seems like it would be a lot of work, and you'd have to change the whole infrastructure of everything to have tubes. So
now the only thing I don't like,
my water. My acid reflux is killing me. Hold on.
You have to get what?
My water. My acid reflux is killing me.
All right, Brendan is getting his water. His acid reflux is killing him. All right, hurry up, come back, so we could talk about this. I want to tell you about this. I want to tell you about my thoughts. I want to tell you. So the only thing I don't like about this whole dynamic, about how it's nice that bicycle couriers will always really be needed in some form or another, at least, no matter what, even if it's small or large scale. What I don't like is the whole e-bike thing. I don't like this whole fucking advent of people just e-biking and like being able to but you know what, there's still limitations to e-biking. You still got to keep that shit charged, you got to store it.
I could ride my bike to work real quick, and I can walk with my bike with one hand barely touching it and just walk it like it's nothing, and I can get to the train, run up a flight of steps.
You could throw it into my car.
I could throw it into your car. I could run up a flight of steps with it. I don't have to worry about a battery dying on me and not being able to pedal the fucking thing. I don't have to charge it.
And you don't have to worry about it malfunctioning. Like, if you thought a road bike was hard to fix, imagine a fucking e-bike, dude.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Yo, by the way, I was thinking about getting a road bike, and I was like, once I learned how to put a road bike together, I was like, fuck that. It's not fucking worth it. It's not. It's really not. Like, if you know how to actually, if I lived in New Hampshire, if I lived in Vermont, then yeah, maybe a bike with gears is important. You said gears are for the weak, but I don't think you could get around in certain places with just a single speed.
I've tried to use gears in the right way, and it never worked out for me. That's the thing. I've tried okay, I'm supposed to shift gears to go up this hill. And I'm like, dude, if I would have just kept in this higher gear, built momentum, and I would have kept the fucking cadence going, I would have flew up the hill before my legs felt like they were using energy.
All right. So then
instead of going...
Yeah, but you've only ever ridden in New York and Texas. You've never ridden in a truly, really elevated hills in the sense. You never really went up, mountains and shit.
Yeah, true.
Because we're spoiled in New York. I'm not gonna lie. This is why I think New York City is the best city, one of the best cities in the world to ride. Probably the best city in the world to ride, I think. Because one of the reasons why is if you're in Manhattan, there's literally no faster way to get from point A to point B than a bicycle. Honestly, even if you manage to get lucky with trains, to get to exactly where you need to go, you'll still end up transferring at some point. Unless it's a very specific route, that's just very convenient and whatever. But even then, you could always bring your bike on the train, So it's even that's a moot point.
Yeah, you can't do that with a fucking e-bike.
Now the e-bikes, god damn it, I fucking hate the e-bikes. But you know what? Road bikes aren't even looking that bad to me. Because I'm realizing there's a lot of cool road bikes out there. You know what I really want? My dream road bike, if I really got a bike with gears, what I really want is I want those old school 90s or 80s road bike frames. I don't want these new school carbon shits. I want like a 90s road bike frame, build it up with new parts. Could you imagine that? Like they call it neo retro velo. You know, it's like when you take an old school road bike frame but like kit it out with new parts. That's fire. I like that.
I also like those handlebars.
What do you mean?
Something about those handlebars is comforting to me.
What, the drop bars?
Yeah, well, they're not full drop bars because they have the little nubs at the top. They have that comforting grip at the top. Oh, yeah.
You mean the modern road
like
bike setups?
Road bikes. They have that. It's not just
those are hoods.
The hoods.
Yeah. So what it is they're standard drop bars, but the levers are like this full unit with like hoods, and they stick out like that. So it's the levers. It's all in the brake levers you choose, and that's they function as both like upward bull horns at the same time. They're also the standard drop bars beneath.
Oh, okay.
It's all in the brake levers. Yeah, that's and you tape it up real nice.
I hate. Hold on. That's the report.
You got water right here, buddy.
Yeah, hold on. Are we on air? Are we on air? So, I usually take Prilosec, a Maprazole, every morning, and for some reason they changed my prescription to something called Pantoprazole, and it's not fucking working the same. And it's been happening to me like it usually only when my blood sugar, I can eat fine, and then what happens is if my blood sugar goes low, I have to drink like a thing of juice like this, and usually fine. But lately, every time I've had to guzzle down some juice, my stomach, the acids are too bad. It can't handle the acidity.
Yo, dude.
And an hour later, it starts hitting my chest so hard in my throat coming up, the acids, that it makes me regurgitate a little bit.
Don't hit this in pulse mode.
Because it's staying on and burning.
Hit it in regular mode. Because pulse mode burns more juice, and it's not worth it money wise. I'm not even talking about like whatever. I'm just saying like pulse mode wastes more money. It lasts more when you leave it in the middle. I know Geek Bars. All right, like I had my time with Geek Bars, and I know like pulse mode is a fucking rip.
Okay. Okay. It's just okay.
Dude, like literally,
it's hard for me not. That's why I don't like when there's settings. I'd rather them not give me options. Like I hate when you can change the heat options. I'm like, don't give me the option. Just give me the perfect setting so I don't obsess over this.
Just don't use pulse mode. Like first of all, pulse mode is too much. It's too much, and you're like we all know vaping is habitual. Like no one thinks I need to take one big good hit and I'll be good for like a few. No one thinks that.
No, I don't take big hits.
Yeah, so leave it on regular.
All right, no more of that for now because the coughing's gonna make me get hurt. Actually, no, it's not that. It was just the acids. Coughing now, fine.
Acid reflux, everybody.
Oh, fuck, man.
Was that your whole supper?
No, barely. It was mostly the juices that was sitting there coming up.
Yeah.
A tiny bit of supper came up, but not the extent. Not most of my supper, I think, digested and stayed down there.
Yeah.
I need to get back on a Maprazole and not this Pantoprazole shit they can try to push on me. I feel better now, though.
Yo, if you start a band again, let me in on it. Start a new band. Don't just do the Lucky Fucks again. Just start it because you have a job now, and if you have a band, it'll give you another reason to keep your job. And if you care more,
I don't think right now in my life I have time for it. I'm a cook. I work in a restaurant, so there's holidays and weekends are fucking and nights. So anytime you do anything is off. For restaurant workers, don't have lives.
At least we could podcast. Podcast is not.
Yeah, I get Monday. No, I don't need to go out and do this and that. I need to work on adulting. Actually, I need to be more responsible. I need to be more considerate.
The reason why I like podcasting is like. It's like
less self-centered. I need
like
to work on myself. I don't need to do anything.
I like podcasting because it's like meetings for non-alcoholics. You know what I mean? It's like it's the same thing.
Oh, funny. Today I can talk about this because today was an open meeting. Meaning, if you were just any fuck off the street, whether an alcoholic or not, you're allowed to go there and just listen. So today we had two girls and one dude from CSI studying for psychology and things like that, and they're like, we're just sitting in to view the meeting today, and we're like, okay, it's a big book to study, so you read the book. So we were there while they were sitting there. It was funny. It was cool.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, like I would love to be a fly on the wall there, because again, like I see a lot of parallels with like.
Well, you're allowed to.
Yeah.
You can just go and just say, I'm just here to watch.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's cool because again, like I see a lot of parallels, and I think it's just good for humanity in general. And it's interesting to me how, like, when you're at the lowest of the low, only the most potent forms of healing will touch you, and it's magical. Yeah. And I like that. I like that aspect of it all. I think yeah, it's interesting how, like, when you're at the, like, you could be an atheist for your whole life, end up an alcoholic, you know, you make millions, end up an alcoholic, ruin your life, lose it all, only to end up there, and it's like, sorry, the only way out is through God.
Or helping others and being less self-centered. That's really, they say, you know, selfishness, self-centeredness.
Yeah, but when you're
the root of our problems.
When you try to not be self-centered without God, you end up.
They say that in the book too. They say there seems to be no way of entirely getting rid of self without God's help.
Well, it's also without God, you try to not be self-centered. You end up becoming codependent, and you fixate on another person, and you end up destroying yourself in a different way anyway.
Well, it's funny they talk about this because this is a part of step 6 and 7, asking God to remove your defects of character. Now, this is they say in the book, they say you know, many of us had moral and philosophical convictions galore, but yet we could not live up to them even if we really wished to. We had to have God's help. So meaning, like, yes, you could read the 10 Commandments all you want. You can read, like, and really believe in these spiritual principles, but it doesn't mean you're going to successfully practice them. You know, I can believe in the law of one. I'm still going to get pissed and yell at somebody again in my life. I'm definitely going to scream at somebody. I'm definitely going to hurt somebody else in my life. It would be fucking bullshit to say from now to this day on, I'm not going to do any damage. We're all going to do damage. That's why, like, in the book, they don't say, and we've been making amends and taking personal inventory. And step 10 is taking personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it and made direct amends wherever possible. So, meaning they say, you're not going to get this right. You're going to fuck up and keep fucking up. Your job is to make up for it and fix it as you go along now, instead of coming up with a big list of it that we have to do. Because the 4th step is, years of shit that you haven't dealt with, all in one. And then amends. After that, it's you live in steps 10, 11, 12, which is taking personal inventory and admitting when wrong, seeking through prayer and meditation to improve your conscious contact with God, and praying only for knowledge of God's will for you and the power to carry it out. And then 12 is serving others, having a spiritual awakening. We tried to practice these principles in all our affairs and help other alcoholics. So help somebody with a problem that you got out of, and then practice all those things that you used in AA and everything, all those whatever steps in everyday fucking life. So always take personal inventory, trust God, think about others. It's pretty fucking simple, but it's impossible to get right. It's not possible.
Well, amen to that. And I think that's a good place to leave off this episode. So thanks for joining us tonight, everybody.
Stay humble, friends.
Yeah, stay humble. Be like water.
And remember, we are all shitty.